want to welcome everybody again to Talk Around Beyond the Wheel of Time showcast. I'm your host, Joe Perry, here with my co-host, Jen Isgro, Tom Kokoza, and our very special guest host, Brendan Johnston. I'm just going to say this outright. How y'all doing? I'm not going to go around.
Great. I simply couldn't be as entertaining as I was the first time,
No.
so I'm just going to leave it at that.
The lost tapes.
It was so good. TM.
Yeah. So, anyone else? Tom? Brendan?
I'm doing well, Joe.
Yeah, I'm good.
It's great to hear.
Pump up the jam. Pump it up. I don't want to get us taken off YouTube, so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, you're singing too much of that song. Go back to Can You Hear the Rest of Us?
The old Candor and Ebb classic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember how it went.
The Tin Pan Alley standard.
Can you hear us? Is what I think that was it, basically. That sums it up, everybody.
Okay.
We are continuing our rewatch of season 2 of The Wheel of Time. Today, we will be covering episode 203, What Might Be. This was, I'm not going to lie, this is one of my favorite episodes of the season. I'll just leave it at that. No, not, because it's a podcast, and if we
It would be amazing if you didn't speak for the rest of the episode.
I'm not going to speak.
Just doesn't until we ask him his star rating. That's it. He's done.
All right, let's do it then. I'll let you guys take it away then. I'm going to see if I can be quiet for how long I could be quiet for.
No.
No, I'm serious. This will be fun. How long? You guys want to take bets on how long you think I could be quiet for?
No, because
No.
it's not the same.
Okay, let's just get into it then. You guys are
Yeah.
fun. All right, this is the 20-minute cold open that we get here. It's
Yes.
Naive, taking her accepted test. I did want to remind everybody that I do wish there were more Aes Sedai here and present, just in case anyone wanted
But
to
just
know.
again.
I'm going to make a note.
Remind that.
Good skull.
Brendan, make a note of that.
Yeah.
It was
How many? How many others would you
let's get
feel like if
10,
if there
Aes
were
10.
10 Aes Sedai?
That's too many.
All right, seven, one from each Aja, 8, and then the mistress, and then the Sheriff.
Is that how many are there in the book?
There's one from each Aja, I think, are represented,
Really?
right? I thought so.
I think this was plenty.
There's three, right, doing the arches, right, who are channeling.
Yeah, there's certain ones like sitting in front of the arches.
They're the
I
ones
think.
channeling the arches. But no, I don't remember. But I just wish there
Joe,
were.
I want you to do me a favor. And the next time you watch any other show, whatever show you happen to be watching, try and count how many people have speaking parts.
Oh, I didn't say they had to speak, Brendan. Did I say they had to speak?
Okay.
I want characters. I want like Star Wars, where there's all these characters that don't even talk, but they all have toys, figures, and names, strange names. That's what I want. I want people in the background that don't say anything, don't do a thing, but become some sort of like cult hero because they, I don't know, they have these really strange names. And then eventually action figures.
Like Kenner,
Who's Kenner?
Well, yeah.
the company that used to make the old Star Wars.
like-
They made the Star Wars too.
Oh, okay.
No, you're wrong. This was fine. That's my opinion.
Thanks,
I
Jen.
think this
for
was
being so
perfectly
succinct.
fine.
I just, whatever. We're never going to agree on this, so I'm just going to stop arguing with you about it.
I just wanted to bring it up because I made a promise last episode that I would bring it up again this episode, and I keep
That's that you did. You did.
You're a man of your word, Joe Perry.
I'm a man of my word. So
Like the Joker.
we right. This is where the phrase comes. The way back will come but once, except for Nynaeve.
Well,
It does come back.
Let's get there. Let's get there.
All right.
oh
let's
yeah,
get
let's
there.
do it. Let's do it in order.
All right, let's get there. Did we ever talk?
Classic Christmas Carol order.
Did we ever talk last time we discussed this? So the first test is the past. Did we ever discuss like what happens in that test? Is that what really happened to her family? I don't
That's what I was wondering.
I don't know if we had that conversation, and it left me wondering. Like, we don't know because that's not her story, her background in the book. They changed it for the show, so I don't know if that's really what happened to her, or
I think yes-ish, because like her father saying that thing to her really happened.
Oh yeah, the thing in the old tongue, right?
Well, I mean, he's just because he said it to her doesn't mean it happened that way.
Right, but I mean, like, something to that effect. Because she wasn't as traumatized, I feel, by the first one. Because it may have been something that she, like, already lived through. Because she was just like, could I have changed it? You know, if I go back or whatever, could I change it? And it's just like, the question is very calm, almost like, is it even possible? I don't know. Like, I think that they did die like that, but I don't know if it was like the exact same way. But it was something similar, at least.
I mean, I found myself wondering the same thing, and it's unclear, and it's probably intentionally unclear. But like. It also almost like doesn't matter, because whether it really happened or it's just what she thinks really happened, it affected her the same way.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think it matters. I was just curious because I don't remember asking that question last time, and I almost just assumed that this was almost exactly what happened to her. And she was just reliving it, but then I was like, wait a second. Is it? Because this
nothing else is.
Yeah, nothing else is exactly like. Although, well, we don't know.
No, you don't know. You don't know.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't. Yeah. We don't.
Perrin's
Perrin
has
third
written
part
there, right? And they don't write back to him. Is that what? Right?
Sure.
Doesn't he say they don't write back in the first episode?
Yeah,
I think he does. I think he does say that, because we were joking about how he's a wanted man, or at least I was joking about how he's. Under indictment in the Two Rivers, so they're not
no communication with a known felon. I my impression was that it wasn't necessarily 100% real, but like when she was a child, she probably didn't understand 100% what was happening to her, and this she had clear understanding of what was happening to her parents, and that's wiggle room as to whether that's what actually happened or that's what adult her is almost like imagining what was happening to them.
Yeah. I will say this. It's still damn creepy how, her mother looks through the like boards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still very creepy.
Yeah.
Those cold eyes. Bravo performance to Eleanor Snur for those cold, hopeless eyes.
Oh, Eleanor Snur, pour one out.
Yeah.
For her.
Then we get her present scene, right? They cut those lines from this show, right? Like the first one is for what was, the second one is for what is, and the third is for.
So.
I don't know why they cut that. It's not like they just
because
you don't need to,
because it's very Christmas Carol. Like it's already. You think you don't want to hang a lampshade on that and then draw more attention to it. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's just we get it.
Right. Yeah. I think you also don't need those words because you can clearly get it.
Yeah. I like it. I like Brendan's thought about that. That makes a lot of sense. By not saying it, it doesn't draw as much attention to it. That it's the similarities of it. I never really thought about it either, to be honest with you, that it was similar to
the
Christmas Story.
The scene,
the Carol. I mean,
it's not Christmas. Christmas Story is very different.
What did you say? A Christmas Story?
Yeah, I said that by accident. I misspoke.
In the second one, when she's back in the Two Rivers, is this the first example of Nynaeve just straight up forgetting she knows first aid and real medicine? Because Tam's sick and she immediately goes to magic that she knows she can't do instead of doing her wisdom stuff in the hospital.
She says that the herbs, she recognizes the herbs that are also from the first test, though. And I don't know if I think it's weird because in the book sometimes you don't remember everything,
Yes.
and they say you won't. Like she doesn't really remember like everything that's going on, so
or
she
what
might
she
not.
knows. Yeah, she could.
Yeah,
She might forget
remember
that she
this
knows
is-
that,
yeah.
or I just took it as whatever was the illness, like she couldn't cure it with herbs, like it was some sort of plague or disease that was
Yeah.
uncurable
Maybe.
by natural
Yeah.
methods. That's what I took from it when I watched it.
Okay.
I didn't even think about that though, Brendan. Like, but she could have just forgot how to use them. I mean, it doesn't help her later on. Oh, she tried. Well, it does. It helps Elaine, I guess. We'll get to that though later on. Yeah, so she goes back to the Two Rivers. People are sick and dying, and then she's like, she's an Aes Sedai apparently because Nettie Cawthon calls her sister, or you're the first sister I've seen, I think she says to her, which is interesting.
Well,
go ahead.
No, I mean, I think the idea of the second one is that it's taking place now, and I mean, she's not an Aes Sedai yet. We know that. Like that's the whole.
You think?
I think Nettie's just either just mistaken or just being a dick.
Yeah, I thought that too.
No, maybe she just doesn't. She doesn't understand like the progressive steps to becoming an Aes Sedai, and just calls
like all she knows is that. I mean, and whatever. This is assuming she's even real, but like all she knows is that Nynaeve. Well, they both did, but Nynaeve went off to the tower and came back. So she's probably an Aes Sedai.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people do have a general sense of like they don't let novices and accepted out back to their homes. So if she's back here, she's probably graduated.
Right.
Yeah, because there were no other indications that she was an Aes Sedai. Like we didn't see.
No, like she didn't have a
Ring, or
ring.
she
She didn't have a color-coded outfit.
Yeah, she didn't have a color unless she was of the gray Aja, which she could have been. I don't know. But she was,
Nynaeve the negotiator seems like a good fit.
yeah, she was just wearing her normal like Two Rivers clothing that she wore in the first season. So, I'm
Well, that reminds me. I actually had a book question. Imagine that. But before she goes in, they make her take off her like overdress, and then she's just in her whatever that's called.
Shift?
Yeah,
A shift.
There you go. And my first note is, I'll bet they had to be naked in the books.
Oh yeah,
Am I right?
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Because Sheriam does say like you go in with nothing.
Yes. Yeah.
But she
yeah,
was
she
wearing
does.
something. So that line they
Well,
kept.
It's not really going to help her very much.
No, I'm just saying like that's the line they kept. But she was wearing something, so whatever. I wasn't going to bring that one up. I wanted to ask a question about Nynaeve trying to channel to save or heal Tam. Do you think that this test is designed to make her want to become Aes Sedai? Because it's almost like if she was able to channel, she'd be able to save all these people that she's had to leave.
I think it's an interesting thought, Joe. We've talked about this before on the show, like what exactly the purpose of these arches, like what the original purpose of them, was, and what they actually do. Like what the Aes Sedai use them for is to like test people's desire to become Aes Sedai, but like, is that what they were designed for? Or
Probably
knows,
not.
right?
I think it's kind of hinted that that's not what they were designed for.
Yeah, it's kind of hinted they just found it and they said, "Oh, this could be useful."
Yeah, I didn't get the impression that it was designed at all.
No.
They found these arches that did whatever, and they're like, "This is as good a test as any."
Yeah,
Right.
It's right in the basement.
That's it. I mean, somebody somewhere, probably in the Age of Legends, made that thing, right? To do something. But
Yeah.
I don't think like, but what? I don't know. And I think, if any, like I think these things are meant to challenge your desire to, like, stay in your life, whatever your life is, for lack of a better term, right? It's giving you options. It's not giving you options like of necessarily
stay in this life where your parents are killed right in front of you,
right? Not necessarily better lives, but like other paths that you could take, right?
Yeah.
You want to stay in this life where you're the most hated miser in all of London town.
But wait, I have how much money?
Well, so even if it's not intended to do that, do you think this motivates Nynaeve to learn to channel? Like she's after having this experience, especially this one where she can't heal, somebody that she loves and wants to help all these people. She can't do that. And she tries to channel. She can't. Do you think that's like going to motivate her to try harder instead of being like kind of like a stuck up, stubborn mule?
I don't think. I think that's probably the idea. Mm-hmm. I don't think after the third one, the first two count. Like I don't think from, once she gets out of it, she's giving much, if any, thought to what happened in the first two ever again for the rest of her life.
Yeah. It's she's forgotten about those by the time the third one's over.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Let's get to the third one, right? So this was the future, or so we can.
I'm sorry. Actually, I'm sorry. Before,
wait.
No. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let's go. Sorry.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I had things out of order. I forgot. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So the future, right? She goes in. There's this weird flicker flashing stuff happening. She comes out with all covered in blood with what appears to be Lan's Adori in her hand. We find out that this is not really, she's still in the test, and Arch appears. She lets it go and decides to stay in there for 5 or 6 more years, apparently. I wanted
at least.
Yeah, I mean, her daughter's looks like she's probably around 5 or 6, but yeah, that means maybe add 9 months to that, or whatever.
I mean, yeah, like that assumes that she and Lan immediately hooked up and got.
Well, they
pregnant.
already had sex at the end of the first season.
That's
so.
true.
Now I'm thinking about it. I know to Nynaeve, like she lived all those years, but do you think like she like blinked in like 6 years? Do you think she actually experienced
Yes.
all that time? Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's what they're leading you to believe. That I think that's what the show's trying to convey, that she's been in there that long.
Yes, she has memories of like she lived with that.
That was daughter. It went in real time. It's like that episode of The Magicians.
Yeah.
Which is weird because she doesn't. Okay, this is like a silly, stupid, like sci-fi, dorky kind of a question. So when she comes back, is she actually aged physically 6 years, or you think she comes back to the moment when she left and she goes back to that age?
She goes back.
I think she's aged mentally, but like probably not even.
I mean, she was physically in another place.
Yeah, but where she was, like she wasn't physically there. I don't think. I think I'm
thinking of like an Umbrella Academy thing, although that's reverse, where he's still young. He's much younger than everybody else because he was time traveling.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we might have talked about that last time. There was one other thing. Oh, go ahead.
I had a question just on the beginning of this. Her fake third test, right? Her imaginary third test, where she's like floating in the. Does anyone have any idea what any of that is about?
Well, she's wearing a red dress, so
she's wearing a red dress.
So I'm assuming something that's to do with like she's Red Aja. And then there's Lan, right? You hear Lan screaming and there's blood and stuff like that. I don't know if she's killing him or he's dying from something else, or
I think the idea is that, I mean, she doesn't know what happened. She's not supposed to know what happened, but the idea is she is supposed to think that in Beltane yet to come, she is a Red Aja who was forced to kill Lan.
And her hair is unbraided too, so it's like all the opposite of like the way that is now.
Yeah, it's her worst nightmare.
Yeah,
And
basically.
then she comes out and Shiriam puts the capper on the water bucket gag, which she's just so like very casual about it.
Yeah.
And while Lee's freaking out, and it struck me as very, very funny.
I like how the water bucket is like, it has like the logo on it of the White Tower.
Well, it's merch, man. You gotta
Yeah.
Branding.
All about branding.
yeah, all about branding. That last one, no, that was Leandrin, right? They each pour water over her head, right? I think each of the
It's Leandra does it first, then
Leane,
the other one.
Leane.
Sure. And then Shiriam. Yeah.
Shiriam does the last one. Okay. Do you think this weird function of the test where there's that whole flickery thing, you think that's the test, and then she comes out and thinks she actually came out of the test? Do you think this is like something that normally would happen? Like, is this unique to Nynaeve? And not in a sense, obviously everybody's experience is unique to them, but do you think that the arch was operating as it should have been, or there was some sort of weird malfunction, or you just think, no, this was Nynaeve's test, this is how it was supposed to go?
I kind of took it to be that this is more or less what happens to everybody.
Okay.
Like you get faked out by the third one and you think you're done. And then you have to decide whether or not, like, and then there's the out.
Yeah.
And then you have to decide if you're going through it again.
That's
like if you really want to go. Yeah.
And do you think that there's multiple chances to go back normally, or this was a Nynaeve thing?
No.
I'm not asking you guys.
Well, too bad we answered.
I'm not asking yous.
Yous guys can it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they're actually. I don't know that we're meant to. Like when the first way back starts to appear, does it fully appear? Like she doesn't reject it. She just like seems to like, she says, I thought I heard something. And it's kind of hard to tell if she's being honest with herself about that.
Yeah. And it leaves really quick too. It's like there and gone within like a second.
So like I don't think it ever really appears.
Yeah. So, okay. Maybe that's part of the test, is it's not really appearing. We don't know what happened if she would have tried to go through it.
I don't think that's true, because they're like, well, she didn't come out.
Oh, that's true.
Like it shuts off.
Yeah,
that's true too.
That is true. That's a good point there. The best part.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my take on that was just like she wasn't even in any part. There was no part of her mind that was looking for it. Right.
Yeah.
It was just like that's why it didn't even fully appear. Like in the first two, she wanted to get out of the situation that she was in because it was terrible. Right. Even if she didn't want to just leave, like she wanted to. This is like, okay, great. I'm away from all those bitches and I'm with the man I love. Things are going really well for me right now.
Yeah, it's not that bad here. Maybe I'll just ride this thing out. There's a great line when she first comes out of the fake test, when you think she comes out of the test, but it's not really a test, and Nynaeve's saying like she doesn't want to become Aes Sedai. There's a line that basically sums all of this up, I think, pretty well. She says, if being an Aes Sedai means trusting the tower over everything and everyone, and then she's like, I don't want to do it. But that's exactly what being an Aes Sedai means. What she says right there is what being an Aes Sedai means. And that's what these tests are. I mean, that's what these tests, and there's going to be later tests, are all about. Oh, this one, I think more so, though. The other one's more of like a challenge, but
later on in the fake, after she fake exits the test, she's talking to Egwene and she's talking about how in the old tongue, Aes Sedai means servant of all. And I laughed out loud at that.
It does.
Watching alone in my room, in my office this afternoon, because the Aes Sedai are the haughtiest, most elitist bunch of pricks in the entire goddamn world. At least that we've seen so far.
That's what she says. You'll be the first one to earn that title or whatever. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, like the idea that like, oh, trusting the tower and blah, and like that's what ended up being Aes Sedai. I was like, the Aes Sedai kind of suck. They're kind of shitty, and I don't know. Like, is that how they are in the books?
Yes, I would say. Yeah, I mean, as
an organization, like
as an organization,
yes.
Yeah, it's in the books, and I would say both the Aes Sedai and the Jedi Order in the prequels are drawing from the same kind of like real life inspirations of like corrupt religious organizations that ruled cities. So, yeah, it's supposed to be something that is far more in love with the idea of itself than it is with any of its so-called ideals.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But
so it's not just me.
No, it's an intention. I think it's an intentional. Okay. Yes.
We can maybe so I mean, we could go right into her coming back, but you want to talk a little bit about Egwene and Elaine first before we finish this? Yeah. You know, because that's the end of the episode, right? The last part of the test. So during this whole time, right, we have that scene between Shiriam and Egwene where she tells her she's dead. I have to say, I remember when we first watched it, we totally ripped it, like how cold and like dispassionate she was. But to be honest, I was like watching it again. She gives really good advice, and that was really the best way to deliver the news to her, I think, and under the circumstances.
She hears Egwene knocking, and then she's just like,
yes, she doesn't answer.
Quiet. Hope she doesn't go in. Then she's like, oh, Egwene. And where's all Nynaeve's stuff? Do they just like get rid of it, and then Nynaeve comes back and like?
She had that much stuff.
Yeah, would she have her bag?
Well, like she has a bag. Yeah.
She left. I mean, she left. She left the Two Rivers a year ago, presumably in the same clothes she was wearing when a monster kidnapped her.
Yeah.
Yes.
And did not return. Right. So I don't think she had too much in the way of worldly possessions.
Yeah, I think we get the same
toiletries and stuff.
Well, the same sense that we had with last episode.
How long does it take
with Egwene?
How long does it take to pack up somebody's toiletries after they disappear into a portal?
Yeah, and what kind of toiletries do they use in the Wheel of Time? Like,
they have toothbrushes.
They use like a baking soda, I think, right? They mentioned that a couple of times to brush their teeth. So I don't know. Maybe that's like tower provided, toiletries and things like that. So they're not actually hers.
Okay.
So
when you go to the hospital, they give you like a bag.
So she's just bringing it back to the stock room. Looks like all the other rooms.
She's basically taking all that stuff and putting it back in storage.
He won't be needing this.
Oh, do you want Nynaeve's toothbrush?
The inventory is monitored by the Maw of Aja.
Oh.
It would probably
I like too how she says like, your grief is your own. And then earlier they say to Nynaeve, like, your fears are your own. Like, don't share your emotions. We don't want to hear about any of your emotions.
Well, we're all very British.
Keep it to yourself.
So we don't share our emotions. Just walk in the other room and stare out the window. Elaine comes in and tries to comfort her, but Egwene's not having anything of it. In the scene, right? So there's this scene with Egwene and Leandrin, and where it opens with Leandrin like throwing the ring in the and melting it. I was just thinking about that. I was like, I guess they have to make her a new ring now because she comes back. As they melt the ring.
It's true.
So that.
I imagine I imagine the novice rings are pretty. Like I was joking about the stockroom, but I imagine they just have like a bunch of them.
Well, I think. Yeah, they just forged them from that molten. Like that's what that is.
Oh, okay, all right.
I think they just melted it down when someone died, but they might have like a pile of other ones,
like symbolic as like a symbol.
They can't just like put it back into the pile. They have to burn it because she died.
Yes, they don't want the curse, right? Because it could be cursed.
I do get the impression that is also the thing that creates new rings. Is that same
No, that makes a lot.
Like,
That makes a lot
Yeah,
of
I
It's
think
got-
that's where they get the
Yes,
gold or
yeah.
whatever. They're gold, I think, right? They're supposed to be gold rings,
Yeah.
I think. So,
So yeah, I think that it would. All right, you're new. Just wait for this to cool off. Otherwise, it's never coming off.
yeah, it's on there forever. I remember when first watching this, like what Egwene channels at Leandra, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure Egwene should get expelled from the White Tower for doing that.
Yeah.
But then we learn later on why Leandrin doesn't care or say anything, because she's going to get her revenge. And then Egwene tries to rescue Nynaeve. Elaine comes down again, has a conversation with her. I just have to say, man, Elaine is killing it. She's continuing to kill it in every scene that she's in. So I can't believe I'm in love with Elaine, the Elaine character, because she's not nearly as cool in the books.
I like her.
She's
Yeah, I
Nobody's as cool in the books as they are. Like, none of the girls. I think the girls are like, I don't know, much less annoying on TV than they are in the books.
Much less annoying on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like Nynaeve is definitely more more of a sympathetic character than she is in the books, at least in
Yeah.
the beginning.
Well, yeah, I think Nynaeve. I think that they Nynaeve in the early books, you see her a lot from other people's point of view, and like she just nags all the other people from the Two Rivers and treats them like children or whatever. But I think like in the show, it's like Nynaeve fully formed as her own like individual character.
Yeah,
So I think that helps.
Yeah.
Elaine, I feel like Elaine in the beginning is really cool. It's
You're right,
only like
she is.
so we'll see as the show goes on. Will she become more insufferable?
She's more fun in the beginning of the books
Yeah.
when she's not really she doesn't have as much responsibility.
Right.
Yeah, so I guess you're right. I just want to continue to see this Elaine. This is good. I want more Elaine.
Because Elaine is rich and a redhead, for like the first half of the first time we watched the season, I assumed she was going to end up being bad because I was just equating her in my mind with Cheryl Blossom from Archie. But watching it again, it's like, oh no, she's just like nice from the beginning. She doesn't come around. She starts out this way, and it's
Right,
just
yeah.
my unrelated fiction biases coming
Yeah,
in.
she is a nice person in the books too. She's
Yeah.
just a little haughty.
Well, she's just the daughter heir.
Yeah, she's the Dota rare.
Yeah, I really, really didn't understand Elaine the first time.
She's a princess
Yes.
and thus acts like one. So they're sleeping in the room, and then we get that very, very emotional ending with Nynaeve running through the arch with her daughter in her arms, comes through the arch without her daughter in her arms, looks down and sees that her little girl is not there, and just cries.
The way she is holding her arms is devastating.
Yeah, she's got it like perfect. Like I went
It's
back
amazing.
through
It's
rounds
so well done.
to watch it, and I was like, oh my god, her arm's in the exact same position as like if she had somebody there. It's almost like she was holding somebody, and then they yelled like grab the kid, and they grabbed the kid out of her arms and then started filming.
Yeah.
I just like, it's, the whole thing is so bad, TM. But like, okay, like you come through, Lan's still alive, like Matt and like you could come around to that, but not only is your daughter dead, she never existed, and no one else will ever know her or have any memory of her. And even if you have a kid later, it's not going to be the same person.
Well, Jen,
You're grieving. What?
how do you know she didn't exist?
Okay, but like no one else in this world that Nynaeve is in now ever knew her, or like it's just like it's not even like you lost somebody and other people are grieving with you. It's like this person just didn't exist basically, and it was your kid. It's horrible.
The way they set this up, I would almost feel like, and this is totally not anything to do with the books, but like if this wasn't, obviously based off those books, I would have loved to have seen Nynaeve in that world for like multiple episodes, and we spend a lot of time like through the years with her. So you kind of get.
It was like
so
it was like a 25 episode show.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 episodes she's in there.
Yeah.
I actually have a similar note about that. How, like, I understand why they couldn't do this, because it's such an ensemble cast, and it's such a as I say all the time, they have 8 hours and 50 fucking characters, and they got to do a bunch of stuff. Like, not like Nynaeve's life back in the Two Rivers should have been a whole episode.
Yeah, it could have been. Like,
this is what the whole thing should have been. I mean, it's basically half the episode. Like the test and everything is basically half the episode anyway. But and just make it that much more, which would just make it that much more devastating when it turns out to be what it is. I understand why they couldn't do that, but
yeah, I would have liked to see some more episodes. I would have said not just one. I would have said let's run this for like 3 episodes. And
well, the thing is, like, I think I think you can't do that and address the other characters. Like, you can't move the rest of the plot forward.
Yeah, it's hard. Definitely hard to do that. So shall we move over to Perrin, Loyal, and the Shinarans? We get like 2 scenes with them, maybe longer. I think it's 2 big scenes though.
Big bit. Yeah, it's 2 big scenes.
Jen, your favorite Damane is here.
Yes, I love
little
her.
Girl.
She's not even in the X-ray. I looked.
Oh,
I wanted to...
yeah, that girl's really cool. This is like my favorite scene. Not my favorite scene of the episode. It might be my favorite scene of the episode. This whole speech and then the Uno getting killed. I love the shots of Surat's mouth when Uno spits. You just see like her lips like kind of purse up in like almost sadness, like she was frowning, and then when he's killed, you just see they cut back to him and you just see the smile on her face.
Do you guys think that, I don't know why I'm thinking this, but that Uno is still alive when they first push him down, like before the spike goes all the way through?
Yes.
I don't know. No. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You think yes?
He's like
not dead yet, like would be dead soon, but isn't dead yet.
He's not. Yes, he is. Uno is alive when the spike goes through the back of his head, and then he's pretty quickly dead.
No, then he's
dead. That's
like when they first push him, it's like he doesn't die instantly on the first.
Right. You're saying it's not until they kick him down that he dies?
Yeah, no, they push him down and then they push him down again or whatever. Kick push. I don't know.
The second time, they kick on him to like push him all the way down.
Push him all the way in.
I mean, it's like they push him down and he's still technically alive.
Yeah, right. But he wouldn't be for long.
There is nothing, there's no direction he can go in.
No, there's no saving him.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So, like, there's no saving him. That's what
I'm just like, I'm being very nitpicky when watching every little thing, and I'm like, oh, I think he was still alive, right? In that moment, like he still had a thought of what was happening.
He's Casey's why am I blanking on the actor's name all of a sudden? But in Hot Fuzz, he had that Hot Fuzz.
Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton.
Oh,
he's trying to eat the ice cream. He's got the hole in the top of his mouth.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You're right. Timothy Dalton. They did save Timothy Dalton in that movie.
Yeah. No one
somehow.
It's the same thing.
The rare perfect film.
I love this scene though. Also, just because it's so like, it seems so out of place to what's going on in the rest of the story. Like, there's just it's like, what's going on? Who are these weird people that Perrin's meeting that are, where they? I don't know. I just really liked it. I like the feel of it. I like that it's like so different from everything else that's going on. And then you've got Ishamael hanging out there with his leather jerkin or whatever the hell you want to call it, vest.
With his clothes from the future that's actually the past.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
The future is the past. The past.
The costume on the show is so awesome. I think that we may have talked about this last time, but I think you're spot on with that. I think they went for the exact vibe that you're saying you felt, Joe, which is that here is a story where you think you understand like what where all the players are and like the general outcome of the world. And then here's this thing. Now I know as the season goes on, and Brendan, I'm sure we'll get through it again. Like the Shanshan in his mind at least become bumbling, non-threats. But like at this point, it's like here is just this thing that disrupts the whole like table, right? It's Charlie McDennis, right? Where they're trying to flip. He's just trying to flip it, right? And I remember when The Dark Knight came out, they described the Joker in that movie the same way. Like they wrote a movie that was very
Agent
like
of Chaos.
Here's a movie, and it's about the crime in Gotham and Harvey Dent, and like and then all of a sudden we just add the Joker in
Wild
to just
card,
disrupt them.
bitches.
Yeah, and like that's what this is. It's like here's this thing. You think you understand where like what's at stake, and now oh wait, no, there's just this other force that doesn't follow the rules and does its own thing or whatever.
Yeah, and then we have the scene of Perrin and Ishamael on the wagon, right? So Perrin's, I guess, being held captive on a wagon by himself.
Being held captive in his own very spacious carriage.
yeah, all by himself.
And like
So
all by
only
himself.
he can get rescued.
Yeah. And like and they have a bunch of other carriages, so like are we meant to think that every prisoner gets their own carriage?
Probably they probably did
No.
separate the Shinarans, I would think, right? So they can't.
Ishamael's doing.
Yeah,
right?
I think this is. I think
I know, but it's
I'll say this because I think that's something that I didn't necessarily consider when we were first watching it, but upon rewatch, I think 100% Ishamael's like, we're here to get that guy, right? Put him in his own carriage so I could talk to him without anybody listening.
Do you think he knows that he's going to be rescued? Because like he's expecting Perrin to get rescued by wolves? Because he talks about the wolf to Perrin, like he knows kind of what's going on with Perrin.
I think that he does. I don't think he expects him to be rescued. I think like this is when Ishii does his whole introduction of himself to the child in the hold open for the series, and he's like, I got many names, and one of them is Father of Lies. Like, here's why he has that. Like, this is a very Father of Lies-esque conversation where he takes kernels of truth and just completely twists them, like playing on all of Perrin's fears about what a wolf brother is and trying to tell him that's right. Like the more you use your power, the more evil you will become, right? And I think that's. I don't think he has any intention any expectation that he's going to be leaving. I think he thinks like he's going to be bait.
But he leaves. Doesn't he leave when he hears the wolves starting to attack? He knows the wolves are coming.
Well, I think at that point maybe, but I don't think he walks in there with that expectation that like, oh, he's probably going to get rescued in a few minutes. Let me get this conversation in quick.
Gotcha.
That's just my impression.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, and then Elias eats somebody, right? Elias ate that dude,
It's
right?
tore his throat out with his mouth.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love how it's not like you don't see him do it. You just see him come in with blood on his mouth, and then they go outside, and you just see a guy laying on the floor.
Yeah.
With like part of his throat ripped out or something close to that.
Yep. Good.
It's like
I was trying to stop the flow of blood.
I'm gonna put these two together.
My face.
I'm sorry. Are we feeling bad for the stormtrooper who got killed?
It's
like
just,
okay,
cannibalism. Is,
He didn't
He didn't eat him. He didn't bit him.
He just bit him.
True, I guess.
Right.
So, yeah.
Like that's how wolves bring. Yeah, that's how wolves bring down prey. Yeah.
What'd you say, Joe?
Said he's no different than a toddler. He bit somebody.
Oh, I was like, toddlers go for the neck. That's what I didn't realize.
They bite. Little toddlers bite.
Babies smell.
Babies do
You
smell.
know what else bites? Wolves.
Wolves also bite. You know what else bites? Bears.
All right.
All right. We get some more Matt stuff, guys. More Matt. Really?
No.
Yeah.
I was
Great.
I wanted to comment when Nynaeve's daughter sees Matt she's like, it's Matt.
Yeah.
But like her voice is like breaking almost.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's how we all feel like whenever Matt's on the screen.
It's
They remembered. They remembered.
She's here.
You're using the royal we there, Jen.
Yes, I did. You don't have to be part of it if you don't want to.
I'm running this in my head and I'm trying to remember what I know of later on in the season. And I don't know, maybe this is just so weird and twisted that there's no certainty here. So Min was purposely put in the room next to him, right?
Yes.
By Leandrin to eventually take him out to bring him to Kyrian, right?
Yes, although they don't know that, I don't think.
Well, no, she knows that because she says we're heading now to wherever. She doesn't say where they're going, but she said it was his idea. Like I didn't even have to really do much.
She might not know every step of the plan from the beginning.
No, I'm just saying that she knows she has to take him to Kyrian. That's as far as she knows.
I don't know if she knows that from the beginning. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Wait, which she? There's two she's.
Well, it's
Doesn't Min not find out?
Oh no, they're going to a tavern.
Yeah, they're
right?
going. They're going to a tavern. Yeah,
sorry.
Min finds out they're going to carry in when she has her dream conversation.
Okay.
This relies on like a lot. For this plan to work, it's like
it's a very.
You have to.
This is a Rube Goldberg device, Brendan.
Get
this plan.
Matt to do whatever to follow Min wherever she's going, even though like he's saying he doesn't know where he wants to go. Like, what about home? What you were talking about doing last season?
So
and you were like,
well, I think letting Matt escape in the way that Leandrin does hinges entirely on Matt not feeling it's his place to go up to Egwene and comfort her. To the point where like it's almost I almost wonder if it was intentional psychological manipulation of Matt to make him feel shitty about himself, so he doesn't want to go home.
I mean, I think you're 100% right. And even though we talked about last episode that the scene in the first episode felt like it might have been added in, like that's what that scene shows, that she's just completely emotionally manipulating him, like, you know, and really digging it in deep, that like what he did to them is such a betrayal to all of them that they won't even talk about him. Like he's persona non grata.
And like this speech she has, right? So she comes in there and she gives this whole speech, you know, about Nynaeve, not saying it's Nynaeve, obviously. And basically uses that whole speech as her, like, you know, her, to, I guess, put her plan in motion, or at least, you know, usher the next step in. Do you think she was being sincere in that speech? Or, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, was this whole contrived, this whole speech, and then, like, go now thing? Or do you think she just changed the plan a bit because she was emotional over the loss of Nynaeve?
It's so hard to like.
Yeah, I feel like it's very
figure
confusing.
out, because I think part of her, of it is genuine, but I don't know like which parts. I don't think we're supposed to know, but like, yeah, because she lets Matt go because what happened to Nynaeve affected her and she doesn't care about him anymore, but she didn't know that was going to happen to Nynaeve, so. Like, did this just happen to line up, or did she really let it happen to just decide she was going to let him go?
Yeah.
Even though she knew she was sending him to a place that Ishamael was going to...
Was the original plan just for her to go in there and say, you're free now, and instead, because of Nynaeve, she went through this whole spiel first? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that, in general, that was my look at it now, is that, like, there wasn't... whatever it was... I think her plans involve Nynaeve being alive, and they're not, and she's pissed and she's upset about that, and how upset she is with losing Nynaeve the person versus losing Nynaeve the tool, who knows? But like, I think it's like, look, no matter what, you've got to go now. So get the hell out.
Yeah, and it's like, again, as much as we hate the Matt storyline in this season or dislike it, it's also very contrary to the Matt in the books. Like Matt, the one thing that Matt will always do is help his friends when they really need it. Like that's one of the characteristics. That's like one of his core characteristics. Like as much as
not I mean they
this Matt. This is
not this Matt.
Well, in the
like,
first season, he was.
Not really. No, in the first season, he was like, "Peace out."
No, I mean other than
myself.
that one moment when he was with it, but he was also affected by the dagger at that point.
Right.
I'm saying in the beginning, before they left.
And I think book 2 Matt spends a lot of time not being like that as well.
I think
right?
as the season,
book 2 Matt, book 2 Matt is like,
more.
Hey, look, good luck with all this. I'm gonna go sleep over there.
But the thing is, like,
but book 1 Matt is not season 1 Matt. They're like different, and then they're trying to go back to book 2 Matt.
But even I would say, Tom, he still does right. He talks a lot about how he doesn't want to do this, and he doesn't want to be near him, and he doesn't want to do that. But he does do all of those things. Like he is there, and he is helping, and he's trying.
Okay. So I'll say this: I think book 2 Matt, and we're getting a little bit of feeling here, but this isn't spoilers. It's not going to happen in the show, right? Book 2 Matt goes through the flicker scene. And comes out and goes, I'm never going to betray you. Because clearly, he betrays him a million times in the flicker scene.
He doesn't really do it, though. It's just like
but like that's the thing that pivots him into somebody who's like...
I don't know. That's just with Rand, though. I would say Rand is the one person he's almost not as much like that with... But with like Nynaeve and Egwene and Perrin, he's like that. He's like it more. He's more of that friend. Like as much as I don't want to help you, I'm always going to help you.
Right. I think that this show on the show, that's the arc that he has in this season. Well, it gets him to that point, right?
Where I remember now. Now we're going to get a whole new Matt, probably. I bet you in the next season. Not
I also think he's going to be like, I'm
a new man.
Right.
I think and I talked about this a little bit a couple of weeks ago. How like it's possibly not unique, but it's maybe unique to television or film. Storytelling that circumstances entirely outside of the story itself have changed the way they have to tell the story. Because they had, whatever Matt was supposed to be like in season 1, for the final 25% of season 1, Matt's a guy who completely abandoned his team.
Right.
Yeah.
And was just like the chips were down, the shit got hard, and he bailed.
Yeah. They're playing that up, right? That's what you're
right.
Yeah.
And so
I think so.
Not to like and I mean this, I know I say this a lot, but like however he is in the books totally does not matter anymore.
No, I know.
It's a completely different character and a completely different approach.
It's a little frustrating. And you're right. That's the reason they do it. I agree with you 100%. You're right. I think they're trying to get him back on track because it is one of like his core values or characteristics of the Matt character is that.
And the thing is,
I think we're going to get that moving forward. I think the end of this season kind of put us, like we said this before, we think it put Matt back on track to where he should be in the sense of the story from the books. So
yeah, you said before about how like we hate how the Matt story goes in this season, and I kind of agree, but also rewatching it, we know it works out.
Yes,
right.
It's not and hard, like I guess.
knowing how it all plays out, while it's still frustrating and it's still kind of annoying and it's not great, knowing where it's going makes it a lot more palatable.
Yeah, and we don't. I don't know if I speak for everyone, but we don't have as much apprehension about what's going to happen with Matt in future seasons. It's like I said, it seems like they got him back on track by the end of the season. So
Yeah.
Right. And I think Brendan's thoughts are kind of echoed, not directly, but indirectly about in some of the things that if it's said in interviews, which is like, hey, look, we had to kind of get him from where he was to where he needs to be for future seasons. And this was the season that we had to do it. And this is the path that we took. And I would say this, my biggest complaint about the Matt storyline in this season is that he's just not in enough of it. Like, I feel like it's very choppy.
That's why.
Right. Right. And I just feel like that's like the thing. I think once the back 3 episodes or so like kick in and he becomes, I think, a fully fledged like, hey, I'm going to be in multiple scenes in this episode and I'll be walking, you know?
He actually becomes a participant in events.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Even before the last episode where it's like he gets to have all these great moments, like just him being in Carrion is awesome, you know? And so, yeah, I think that's it. Going back to your original question, Joe, I don't know if you were asked. Like, I'm just trying to get back to the episode that we're actually supposed to be discussing. I guess.
You mean like from the beginning of this episode, like
how you doing tonight, Tom?
Was Nynaeve's what happened? Nynaeve's first test, was that really what happened to her family? Is that what you're going back to?
Yeah. No, I think that like many very very complicated plans that almost work, like trying to nitpick about, well, what exactly were they like, what would they do if something else happened here? Like, don't worry about it. That's not like, I
would really love to know what the plan was, like from the very beginning. Who set this plan in motion and what it was, because I'm having a hard time following it. Like I get
I think to sort of pivot off what Tom was saying, like I don't think there is a plan in the way that you want there to be a plan.
So Leanne,
like I don't think there's a blueprint. Yes. Yeah.
But
Leanne's just making stuff up.
So like, why is she sending Min and Matt somewhere?
Well, I think so. Here's
we know why. We know why. We find out. But right. I guess what was the holding? Why were they in such a holding pattern? Like Matt's been there for months. Is it because?
Well, now events are happening, right? And I think that you're. Why is it now? And again, the timelines in the show are a little bit fuzzy. They had that link off point, but I don't know exactly if everything's happening at the same time, like when you cut from place to place. But Ishii is now physically here on Ranland with the Shanshin. Like, all plans that we've discussed now go into effect. So I'm back. Now send him out. Right? That's it. So like, he was staying there until basically she got told it's time to let him to go, you know, and it was her responsibility to figure out how you were gonna like.
Maybe they were waiting to find Perrin potentially. Maybe that's the trigger. Like, right. He found Perrin. Now he's gonna start putting the plan in motion because now he knows. Yeah. Now they know where everybody is.
Also, at the Dark Friend Social, they said, he said at the Dark Friend Social that he was going to try to turn them all to get to Rand or whatever.
That woman says, do we kill them? And he's like, no.
Yeah. So, I mean, that could just be like, all right, you have Matt here, you have the girls, like, let's try to, like, just manipulate all of them as much as you can and until we're ready to move to like the next step.
Right. She's working.
So that's like her, just work all of them, you know, like get them all, try to turn them all to the dark as however way you can.
So you just that was a huge light bulb. I never considered this before, but with that in mind, do you think the constant in Egwene's face of like, "Where's Nynaeve? She's the most powerful channeler in 1,000 years." Do you think that's intentional by Dark Friends to put her in a despairing state, the same way they're trying to put Matt and Perrin in their own ways in this state of despair? Do you think like this is an intentional attack on her self-esteem and sense of worth so that she's more susceptible to a possible turn to the dark?
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's hard to say because that would imply that all of these Aes Sedai are working are evil.
Oh well, I think they are.
All of them.
Didn't you say when we were watching the show originally at one point that like everybody in the scene is?
I think
right, you're like,
with the exception of like Alana and maybe one or two more, I think all of the Aes Sedai at Carrion in the end are bad. But we'll get to that.
We will get to that. So I like that theory. I like
so
it.
Brendan's in on it. My theory. Then.
Okay. I don't know. I always feel like I always felt like that's just the situation that they're in with Egwene and Nynaeve, and that's just life in the tower kind of thing. Like that's. You know,
I mean, another thing is
she is the most powerful traveler in 1,000 years. So
it's Joe's week to say it.
I know. I'm not saying it as a joke, but that like isn't that enough for them to be doting over her and so interested in her? Like if I said like, you know, let's use this example, right? Shohei Ohtani. Sorry, people, I'm going into baseball. Just 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases. It's never been done before. Unbelievable. Never been done before. Like it's amazing. He did it in less time than it took, I think, A-Rod, Canseco, all of them to go 40-40. He did it in less games than it took them to go 40-40. So that's even more amazing. But anyway, what was my point now? Oh, imagine like
that was awesome. That was the point.
I think is your point like other baseball players could be doing good things, but it doesn't matter because he's the best.
You don't think like somebody else either on the Dodgers or something else is like, oh, he's just hit 50-50. Like, I'm so tired of hearing about that. Like, fucking Ohtani this, Ohtani that. That's what it is. It's just normal.
Right.
It's just normal reactions and responses and emotions to this situation. I don't think it's necessarily being manipulated.
Also, people talk about that. People talk about that people talk about that when Egwene's not there. There's the scene in the first or second episode where Sheriam and Alana and the Jets are talking about it, and one of them makes a comment about the different Jets. But,
I know, but
she does say to Elaine last episode, right? Like they're always looking. No, the only people who ever talk to her, it's because they're looking for Nynaeve, right? Doesn't she say something like that? So it's clear. It's clear it's affecting her, and there's other people who are, I guess, involved in that. But, you know, maybe if there were more Aes Sedai, we would know more. But I'll leave that alone. I won't bring that up again.
You didn't hear that from me. I don't know where.
You definitely didn't hear that from me. Oh, man, Matt and Egwene, that scene, anyway, it's just...
that scene doesn't actually bother me that much.
No, it's not a bad scene. It's just heartbreaking, like, in the sense of, like,
it's not. It's I don't think it is.
I'm so distracted.
Fuck you, it's not heartbreaking, Joe.
I'm so distracted by the fact that like they're just dressing that same spot over and over that I can't concentrate on anything else.
Hall of the Tower,
pillars,
the
training ground.
Now it's a garden.
No, and then when they're outside, that's the same spot, I guess, where they're talking earlier.
Yeah,
I just can't.
Now.
I think it's supposed to be heartbreaking, but I also think, and I didn't actually do this, and I'm sure I also think that if you go back to the first season, you will find that Matt and Egwene share no significant scenes and never really talk to each other. And in the 7th episode, which we all hate when they have their stupid teen soap opera love quadrangle bullshit, Rand outright talks about how Egwene never really liked Matt anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's sad that Egwene is sad, and it's sad that Matt feels like he's such a piece of shit he can't go console her, but at the same time, that's his friend's ex-girlfriend.
But
it's not that big.
He doesn't know
that big a deal.
Does he know they broke up though?
They broke up in the first episode.
Yes.
Brendan, don't say it.
That's right.
I didn't say it. Tom said it.
That's right.
Thanks,
they have
buddy.
a conversation. Like they're sitting at the table, like, and they ask about Egwene or whatever, right?
Yeah, I guess he never. Well, he sees them like hug again right before he ditches them.
Matt was on the road with Rand and just Rand for 6 months. Right after that, it came up.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's true.
All right, so that would have been interesting.
I mean, how many times do you think Matt tried to get him laid in that 6 months? By the way, like 40, 50.
Yeah, probably a lot.
The wood, Matt.
Shall we move over to the Rand storyline? Does anyone have any more
Who's Rand?
comments about Matt and Leandrin and Min?
All right.
No.
No.
All right.
Yeah, whatever. Move on.
We got Rand and Logain. You know,
I didn't say it.
the last episode ended with Rand
Tom
meeting
said it.
Logain. Logain clearly is on to Rand and whatever Rand's doing. He admits that he remembers him from Tarvalon in the episode, you know,
No.
where I said that he saw
Yeah.
him and you guys said no, that's not what happened. And I imagined that. But no, we find out it did really happen.
No. We find out it was retconned.
No,
We'll find
no. It's a retcon. Jen, put it on
It
the
is!
list. Put it on the list for Rafe.
Okay. I'm going to right now. What is that? A Google Doc? What did I even put it on?
She's already lost it.
I'm doing it right now.
She's already lost it.
I'll find it.
An old sticky note.
How does Logain see an aura around Rand if
Oh,
Logain is cut off from the force
Good question.
or whatever?
That's a great question. He says men can see a glow around other men who can channel. So we assume it's like if you can channel, you can.
But
see
he
a glow
can't.
around other men.
Logain can't
Can't
channel
channel.
anymore.
Yeah, so he can't channel anymore. So I don't know. Was that a mistake? Was that something they were just like, we'll just ignore it because we need to kind of put this in?
Or
there?
is
You know what they call that, Joe? A retcon.
You think they retcon that
That's
too?
not what they call it. That's not what a
that's not what a retcon is.
It's
A retcon is
Okay.
What's a write
Okay.
you just they're the ones retting it on.
So
Well, I mean, I'm to
or is
actually
it-
to answer
Okay, good. Sorry, you first.
to answer my question, and I'm like, this just occurred to me. Logain is pretty fucking crazy. So,
Is he
so maybe
crazy?
he just thought,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, I think he's kind of crazy.
Okay.
Yes.
But I also think, and this is something that you do see a lot in the first season, and it's clearer in the first season. People in this show are wrong a lot,
yes,
and it's just possible that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, it's possible that he's telling you he's not crazy here.
He didn't.
It
see
could
a
be that
glow
he's
around
wrong
Rand? Is
here.
that what you're saying?
No, that like
He's misremembering laughing.
no, Jack, but
He said,
I was gonna say, like,
I watched the TV
no,
show and saw that happen. So
like he's saying he saw a glow around Rand and knew that Rand can channel
Mhm.
because men can see that about other men, right? And maybe that's not
what he saw,
what it was. Yes, maybe that's not what it
the
was.
glow
Maybe it was
around
something
him
else.
represented something else, not channeling.
Yes.
Okay.
Or maybe men can't see that. Maybe he can see that. Like, maybe it's not all men who channel can see men that can channel. Maybe that's something special that he has, right?
I feel
so
like-
it could be other things.
See, I feel like you're really like you want us to really confuse the viewers and start having people say things that aren't that they
Yeah, I
sound
mean,
like
they
they're
do that in
true,
the-
but they're really not because on
Well, that happens in the
technicalities.
first season. I think the Aes Sedai do that in the first season a lot. They just say things that they believe are true, and then you find out like an episode later that that's not true. Like, you know, whatever. Like, I have a dream, and you're supposed to go to the Eye of the World because you'll be like, no, that's not what that dream. That's not what happened. And then like, the Eye of the World is this. No, that's not what it was. That was something else.
Mhm.
Like, people just say things because they believe that they're true, and then it turns out that they're not true. I think that you have to be careful. And you, Brendan, you brought this up tangentially last week, and then in our Discord, you clarified this point. Like, doing that too often becomes like a bait and switch with the audience, right? Where you're almost like setting up fake dramatic stakes
Mhm.
and then like pulling the rug out from people. So you have to be careful about how you do it. But right, I think that enough people who work on the show know enough about like the dynamics of how this stuff works to not like that. What you're saying is right. If he shouldn't be able to do that if that's a channeling ability because he can't channel anymore.
right.
But so what he's saying about men can see other men, the ability to channel.
How does he even know that?
Well, that was my question. Like, does he know a lot about? Has he met other men that can channel? Maybe maybe they were part of his crew. Maybe he had to kill somebody, or there was that guy in the very beginning of the first episode of the first season who could channel. True. So we know there are other men who could channel. We know
there's another guy out there that they talk about in this season too.
Right. I don't know if there's another false dragon.
Yeah, they mentioned another false dragon. So it's very possible Logain has encountered other men who can channel, and that's how he knows this. But you're proposing that what he's seeing around Rand isn't the ability to channel. It could be something else.
Could be something else. I mean, we know Rand. That's not Rand's only deal.
Well, he gets.
That's true.
So basically, the bulk of this Rand's storyline is getting sent on a side quest.
It is that's exactly what I wrote. It's it's Rand's side quest episode.
You know what's so funny? You know how far we've come? I was watching ESPN before, and one of the commentators used the term side quest.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah, the nerd wars are over and our side won.
I've never heard somebody on TV use the term side quest
on a sports network, no less.
Sports network, no less. Sorry. Yeah, and it's so funny because I had that as a note for this episode. The Rand's whole story is him obtaining. And it's a Final Fantasy little story.
And it's such a side quest. Like he needs to get a costume. He has to go to a party and get a valuable thing.
Yeah,
it's like most of the D&D group couldn't make it, so you're getting a big role playing week.
And it's a perfect low level side quest too. Like, hey, you're just starting to learn your character. Just you need to get an expensive bottle of wine out of this party.
You need to talk to some NPCs.
To find out where to get the wine, right? And then dress up in a costume and pretend you're, a lord or somebody.
Dress up in a truly incredible jacket.
Oh, it's the best.
I have a quick comment, stepping back a little bit. This is for Brendan's benefit. When you see the other Gleeman and the way his patches are on his cloak, it's like, Tom just wears his on the inside because he's that cool. When we saw Tom's duster, we're like, that's how they're gonna make Gleeman cloaks now with the patches on the inside. Okay, and then you see this guy, you're like, oh no, it's just that Tom's super cool. Yeah, and that's what he wears here, so he can flick it out when he's playing his guitar.
Be awesome.
Anyway,
when he's playing his guitar and crucifying fades.
You know what's ironic about
that? That's it. Put it out there. It's happening.
What's ironic about that
manifesting.
part is
I'm Tom-manifesting. You can have that one, buddy.
There's the whole.
I do it every day, baby.
There's the whole hunt for the horn story that's being told, and that plays out at the party. Like we learn that the hunt for the horn is just some tool that the queen uses to get rid of poor people. It's funny because Rand has no idea that the horn's been found because he wasn't there when they dug it up from under the throne. So it's kind of funny because you're like, we know that it is, but Rand doesn't know that. And at first I didn't like the whole conversation about the hunt and how it's a ploy by the queen to get rid of poor people out of the foregate because they don't want poor people there. But then I was I was thinking about it and I was like, you know what? It was a good little short dialogue to kind of explain the game that the nobles play, the game of houses as it's called in the story, so I was like, okay, I'll let it pass because it does a good job of showing how horrible the nobles are. And to be honest, most of the nobles that you meet in the Wheel of Time are just terrible people.
Right.
There's good ones, but most of them are terrible people. So
I have a question about the hunt for the horn, which I can't remember if it's the same thing in the book that the hunt for the horn is just randomly called when the horn also just happens to go missing.
No, the horn has never been in the books. The horn's missing. The horn's not been found. It's just an item of legend.
Right, but it's just this just happens. They happen to call the hunt when the horn is being hunted for real, but it's not it's not affiliated with each other.
No,
it's unrelated.
Okay.
Yeah, the hunt for the horn.
I think in this case it is related. To be honest, in this instance of the calling of the hunt, it's related
How can it be? They know about
I mean,
it.
the pattern. We've got a plot
So the
armor
pattern.
called
The pattern. The
the
pattern.
pattern that's weaved by the wheel.
Fine.
I'm
But
pretty sure that
the wheel there.
the wheel of time they call it.
It's a big wheel. It's funny.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But I'm pretty sure that this was done purposely by the pattern that the call
Okay, all
for
right,
the hunt.
but stop it. Stop. Hold on.
What?
Jen is not asking if God himself called. Like Jen is asking if the Queen called the hunt because she knows the hunt that the horn is out there.
The hunt isn't. She's not the first person to call the hunt. Somebody in Ilion calls the hunt, and then she.
Well, they changed this though.
They said something about Ilion.
Oh, they did say
the
something
hunt is
about
called an
Ilion?
Ilion.
Okay.
And then she's probably like, "Oh yeah, do that, and I'll give you a reward."
I'm
if you
pretty
bring it back
sure.
here."
I'm pretty sure the presumption is that there are rumors have spread that the horn was found. Really, like the real story. Maybe it's not the real story, but
Like
there's
Uno was
rumors-
drunk in a tavern on the way
something
down.
happens
like,
where it's some.
Oh, you found the horn, all right.
Somebody slips and something gets out, and somebody realizes that the horn, there's an actual hunt for the horn going on, so to speak, or they think it, and then it just drums up a lot of
okay.
rumor, and then somebody says, let's call the hunt for the horn.
And I'll also say, just on the, I think that Joe, I think that makes a lot of sense. So this is a yes and. The socioeconomic reasons for calling a hunt like the Queen is doing here, or like they would do in Ilion, which is like, hey, things aren't necessarily going very well right now. Like economically speaking, there's a lot of unrest, a lot of social unrest. Let's rally them up and get them out of my city. Like that's happening everywhere. Like that's something that you're going to see more and more of, but you're starting to see already. Like no place is necessarily doing really well. So I think that there's just a lot of places. There's a lot of societal unrest, and like this is a good way to kind of, hey, let's get young people out from causing trouble and have them go out on adventures. I want to go back to the. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You want to go back? Let's go.
I wanted to go back to the party briefly. I think Kevin Angus on Twitter puts. I think it's him, but someone put it up, and I think it's great. Like it's just a picture of Rand in the red jacket from the party, but it's like it's all tinted red, and it's just like this is where Red Althor gets radicalized, become a socialist, right? And I'm like, that's a useful tool for this as well. I think you really do get us like, this is a good sense for him to go like, these people, these pricks deserve to not be in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah, it's pretty clear here. That whole conversation he has with Anvir, and I my old notes had like, is this Maureen's sister? And now, of course, we know it is because we've seen that already. I wanted to ask, do you think that Lanfear, and I don't know if we talked about this, did you think that Lanfear Celine knows that Rand is visiting Logain? Do you think she knows Logain's in the city and that Rand's meeting
I
with him?
assume she knows everything, but
Yeah, I just assume she knows everything. Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
She knows where he works.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if there was any hints or like lines in the show that we could connect to, but you're right. I just assume that Lanfear knows everything that Rand's doing.
Until we find, and this is weird to talk about in the context we're talking about it because we know what happens, but like until we find out she's Lanfear, the show gives us no reason to think that Celine knows anything or is involved at all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's the
she's
scene
just
at the end of this.
She's just some lady.
But what about this?
Who Rand is hooking up with, and like she helps him get into the party, but that's because she's from there and she knows how stuff works. Like there's nothing in the text of the show to this point to suggest that Celine is aware of or manipulating anything.
What about the last scene of the rant story with him and her, and he starts channeling, and what is she saying? She's saying some stuff like,
Not afraid of you.
she's
In the
saying, like,
dream?
let it go or something.
That doesn't even
let it
really
go.
happen.
None of that really
Well-
happens. You think the two of them?
Is it a real dream? Is it a dream?
He wakes
or
up.
is it a
He wakes up
dream?
in his bed by himself on fire.
No, but is
So-
it like a Teleron Riyadh?
Oh, for
Thing?
fuck's sake!
I have that in my notes.
This-
I have
this
that in
show-
my notes because I didn't
This
think
show
it
is
was.
exhausting.
But
Sometimes.
now it
Well,
might.
it's-
It might be.
Is
No, it is.
I'm not sure if that's a dream.
No, it's fuck you is a legitimate answer.
He goes-
So that's Brendan's face.
He goes
Like
back
he's
and-
asleep. He's asleep.
after
He's
they have
dreaming, but I
sex.
don't know if it's
I think that
No,
they
no.
actually had sex and he's just
No.
asleep now.
absolutely.
No,
not.
I think
as
it's.
most
I
It's
think,
not
does
in
after
his
having
waking
sex.
world. Celine does not know that he could channel after this. After in the next scene in the next episode, she doesn't know this.
She
didn't
already
happen.
knows he can channel.
yes, but Celine,
Celine does not know that.
right? So in his head, Celine does not.
As
like,
far
there's
as
no-
he knows, that was a dream that did not happen.
Right. There's no.
You
I
think-
would say this.
Well, wait. You're saying he
okay.
thinks it's a dream, or you're saying it is
Yes,
a dream?
Right,
he thinks it's a
okay.
dream,
So
and he
it's
woke
not-
up and
but
channeled.
it's not. But the question is it really a dream? That's what I'm.
Is it a
asking.
Teleron Riyadh?
Yeah. Okay. So
No,
I would say
is-
that
is it real?
It is not real. It did not happen in the physical world.
I think that
Okay, I disagree.
her.
This
Her
is because this is we had this conversation about how Rand
Yeah.
has that dream about killing people, and then it cuts back to him, and he's already awake, standing by the window, which is atypical of like a dream sequence. In this one, now because he does open his eyes after it. You're saying it is a dream.
So-
Yeah, he wakes up
So
channeling.
They're just
It
fucking
was like a
twisting
weird.
everything
I don't want to
around.
say it like this,
No.
but this is how he described it. It was like a wet dream, but with
Yeah.
channeling.
A channeling.
So he
Right.
woke up and he was channeling when he in his
wet-
sleep.
A wet taint dream.
A weave dream.
So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Why would you not want to say it? That's 1,000%.
Because
what
I'm
it
a
is.
lady, Brendan. That's
Oh,
why.
okay, fine. Of course.
I'm a
Of course.
demure lady.
We'll,
I
we'll
think-
bleep it out.
I think we actually did talk about this in the spoiler section of our original review of the show,
Okay.
because at that point, like, Brendan didn't know about any of this stuff. But I 100% believe she is waiting for him to come back. That's really happens, except she's not waiting in her physical hotel room. She's waiting for him to fall asleep so that she could talk to him.
So that she can go into his dreams.
Dream, and yeah, that's where she's. So I think that's all. That all is that confrontation is real. Like, between, that's not his dream of her. That's them in the dream world having that.
It's
Right.
in Teleron. Yes, it's
But
not,
it's
in
not.
the
Yeah,
real
it didn't
world. It's
happen
not
in
the
real
wake-
life.
yes,
It
in the
happened in real
waking
life.
world.
And then
the
yes,
waking
and then he has a wet dream, and then he burns the inn down.
So I will say the X-ray did not help us because I checked the X-ray because I was like, "Is this a dream?"
Ooh.
It
Didn't
says
say Teleron
It
Riyadh?
says Kyrian. It just says Kyrian. It doesn't change for the whole time. It says Kyrian. So that didn't help us. I don't know. I think this happened. I think it really happened.
How could it have happened? And then next time he sees her, they just don't talk about it, and then they have
Because
another.
no, he doesn't know that it happened. He thinks it's a full regular
Do
dream.
you think so? Because he wakes up and he is channeling. Oh, so that's why you think he thinks
He
a
thinks
dream,
it's a
because-
full regular wet dream, right?
Yeah.
The
So-
reason I think that the reason I think that Lanfear in that scene is actually Lanfear, this is the first time that you see
Yeah.
Lanfear, is her reaction to, like, "You're never going to leave me again," kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
don't
that's
ever
the
leave me
first-
again.
Yeah, that's one. Celine, even Dream Celine, why would she ever say that to him? Like, that's not, and like, she gets her, like, that's her first, like, crazy evil eyes moment in the
Yeah.
season. So I do think that that's your first sign that things aren't what they appear to be with Celine.
I think it's, I don't know. I think it's really happening, and I think, well, here's my question. So then basically, what I perceive to be them about to have sex and them cutting away because they didn't want to actually show them having sex. No, it's literally the next moment he wakes up. Are we saying
Yeah.
that that's what's happening?
Yeah. I think he's channeling in the dream, and then he wakes up because he's burning the.
So that
place
is
down.
literally the next moment. Like the next moment to that next shot of him waking is literally the next moment in that sequence of him and Celine, going at it. Okay, I always assumed that this was them cutting away. They've had sex. He fell asleep, and now he wakes up. That's what that's how I.
You thought they cut away from them having sex, and the next shot was Rand after having sex with his girlfriend, who is also his landlord, got up and went upstairs to his apartment and changed clothes and got fully into bed and then started channeling.
I didn't.
That
know
was his
bed.
bed. That was his room. I think she was waiting for him in his room.
Yeah, she was waiting for him in his room. I think. Okay. I don't think he switched rooms, and we had this whole conversation about the clothes too.
They can't afford to show us another room in the end.
That's true. You're right.
One room. That's it.
Remember when he went to take his coat off? She was like, "No, leave it on." She told him.
Right. So I was thinking he was wearing the other coat, but that was like his scrubs. The blue coat that he wears at work. Does he leave that at work? We already talked. I know we talked about this.
He leaves the party with the red coat, right? Goes to visit Logain and then he has his work coat on, and then when he goes back home, he has the red coat on again. But if you notice, the undershirt is the same shirt for all of them. So I think when he goes to work, he changed.
So he's like Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers. Yeah, I think this.
That's that's the uniform. That's the work uniform.
I think we said this exactly same thing last time. Too,
right. So if the guy that you're working with throws an entire bottle of wine, it won't get on your regular clothes.
Yes. The guy who made you go get a bottle of wine that he didn't drink one sip of it. He spilled it all over the place.
I love that because it's like it is classic impish fantasy mentor behavior to send him on a side quest for this rare expensive thing.
Or something.
Exactly. He sends him on this side quest for this rare expensive thing that he just uses as a visual aid. And that's it.
Right. The quest was the quest. That was the purpose of all of it. Right. This is just for me to pour out.
I guess this fortifies the idea that he is crazy. It is
him being crazy fortifies the idea that he's crazy.
I think he's he does say it's an Aes Sedai conspiracy, which is believable. But I think
crazy. He still thinks he's the Dragon Reborn.
He says, he does say the madness is an Aes Sedai conspiracy. That's all I'm saying. That there is no madness, right? Doesn't he say there is no madness? It's a conspiracy.
Yes, but considered the source.
Are we not to believe him because he's crazy?
Yes.
But maybe he isn't crazy. But maybe he isn't crazy. So this is
he's acting crazy.
I don't know, man. Like the first time you see him,
he's been
like twitching.
Two voices. No, the first time you see him in the show, not the first one, actually the second scene they did, like two just ghost heads appear and start talking to him.
Yeah.
Fine.
I have a question for you, Brendan. Do you think
he froze
in the next season? Do you think Logain will teach Rand how to channel or control his channeling, whatever you want to call it?
I don't. I haven't given it that much thought. I kind of don't think so because it seems that now Rand is back in the, Rand is back with people who care about him, and they probably would not be down for that. Also, Rand doesn't seem to need much in the way of channeling training because he kills like an entire army by himself.
True.
At the end of the season,
he kills like 8
That's
guys
magic missile. It's a first level spell.
He has like 8 guys. That's not an army.
I don't know.
I'm not.
There's a lot of magic missiles. He's got it like. He's got it like.
Those
he's casting a higher spell slot.
Those did more than 1d4 plus 1 damage. Come on,
that's true. Those are insta kills.
They're like foot soldiers. They don't take a lot to kill them.
Turok is a mini boss.
3 hit points.
All right, Turok. Yeah, all right.
Sorry.
I mean, also, well, at this point, it does not and obviously this isn't going to be the case, but at this point, it doesn't appear that Rand has anyone else to fight. So, I mean, well, no, there's whatever the other Forsaken, but he doesn't know about that yet.
Right.
Yeah.
He thinks he's in the clear.
It sounds we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but it sounds like at the end of the season they're taking Logain back to Tarvalon.
We'll find
Yeah.
out.
To the
Thanks.
tower.
Season 3.
And
Sometime.
I think the landscape of the tower is going to be very different next season. So
That's
I hope it's different
true.
landscaping. Everything will look the same.
that's not what I meant.
Oh, sorry. Is there anything else anybody would like to discuss about this episode, or are we ready to give it our scores?
I'm ready.
I'm going to give this episode a 4.25. It's got some of my favorite scenes. I love all the Nynaeve stuff, the Egwene and Elaine stuff, the White Tower, everything that's going on in the White Tower. I thought was really good. That first scene with Perrin and the Shannarans and the Shan Chen was amazing. It's one of my favorite scenes of the entire season. Sorry, Uno. And the Rand stuff's pretty good, I think. I mean, Matt stuff is still lacking, I think, for me, but I did enjoy the Rand and Logain interactions. And Celene's awesome. Like everything that she's in is really good. So there you go, 4.25.
I'm
right.
gonna give it. Sorry,
Go.
I'm gonna give it a 4.
All right.
I really like this episode. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in it. It's definitely my favorite so far of the 3. So
Yeah, definitely favorite so far. Oh, after you guys
Math backs that up.
After you guys do this, we're going to talk about cold open ranking. I forgot about that. You want to give your score?
Oh.
You want to give your score, Tom?
Yeah.
No. No. We were so close.
Bunch of times.
Oh, he's back.
You got it. No, you just take it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Wow.
4.5 stars. I think it's very rare, especially for something that I've seen multiple times, and then there's been a while I watched it again for it to still be really good and entertaining for me and captivating and stuff. And this was. I think that like I don't know, like this is the first time this is the first episode that we've done our rewatch of that wasn't spent nitpicking all the stuff we don't like. If this was still just a recap of like this is really good and that's really good, and I also like when this happens.
Yeah,
and blah, blah, blah.
There's a couple, only like 2 things maybe that we kind of nitpicked at. Really, it wasn't that much.
Yeah, it's a very strong episode of the show.
Yeah, Brendan.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.
Wow.
I think
I set you right up for that.
you really did. I appreciate it.
Probably.
This is an example of something I think this show does a lot. It like the entire first season is like this, and several episodes in the first season and this season, like it is less than the sum of its parts. I like everything that, like, I like all the storyline. Well, not the Matt stuff. The Matt stuff's kind of bad, but like I like everything that happens. I think all the individual storylines are well done, even the parent stuff, which I generally can't stand. I just didn't like the episode. Like it didn't work. Like it didn't work for me as
It wasn't put together well.
Yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work for me as an episode of television, taken as like 3 different set pieces or 3 or 4 different storylines. I think they were all individually good, and they just did not gel for me.
So your thumbs down for the editing team on this one.
I guess.
I don't think it's the editing. Yeah, that sounds more really about like the writing of it. Not even like the scripting of it, just like the thematic elements in this episode didn't work for you. Like you didn't see like the cohesiveness between the storylines.
I will send I'll send this note to John McCutcheon.
Okay.
Who wrote this episode. All right.
See that you do.
So this was the lowest rated one for you, Brendan, so far this season?
Yeah, so far this season.
I think this is the highest rated one for me, definitely.
For me as well. For me, for sure.
For all of you. Everyone except me thought this was the best episode so
Wow.
far.
Yeah, I like when that happens though. So cold open wise, right? So this is our third cold open. Ranking wise, is this everyone's favorite so far? Or the first episode? Because I think we all said the first one was the best last time.
The test, yeah, I think so.
I think so too. I'm gonna do this. This is first, then so 3, 1, 2 is my order of episode cold opens. I don't know if anybody thinks differently.
I still think I prefer the first episode.
For this one,
I like the gag of a long cold open. Like you almost forget that but it's so long you forget that it's the cold open.
yeah. I forget what show I was watching that would do that sometimes. You'd watch like 10, 15 minutes of the show and then they would run the opening.
Yeah, Mission Impossible 7 does that. It's like the cold open is like it's 30 minutes before the theme song plays.
Yeah, I forget what show I was watching that.
And that's great.
It would just be random though. Like sometimes it would be a minute into the episode, sometimes it'd be 5 minutes in, sometimes it'd be 20 minutes into the episode. And you're like, oh, that's right. This is still the cold open.
I mean, it's still good, but the as dopey as I think the name Dark Friend Social is, that's just like a great scene, and it's a great little self-contained little vignette to set things up.
We got some more cold opens coming up. So, Brendan, thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you.
And we will see you next time when we talk about
See you next
episode
time.
204.
Bye-bye.
Looking forward to it.
Bye.
Have a good night, guys.
Adios.
No, we need like.
And we're back with our spoiler part of the episode. So if you have not read the books, please turn off the episode. I didn't have many things. Once again, I didn't have really many spoiler things. The one thing that was confusing to me was Ishmael's conversation talking about like the Wolf Brothers. Like he sounded like he knew about Wolf Brothers, but he clearly has no clue about what Wolf Brothers really are. Right? Because he thinks they're like of the shadow, but I mean, we know they're not.
No, he doesn't.
I don't think he
saying
thinks that. I think he's lying. Yeah, he's trying to scare Perrin.
But what's the end game? To just get Perrin scared? Like clearly,
No,
I
he's
think
just
the end game.
Oh, don't be a wolf.
Right.
you think
then
he's
he's
trying to
gonna be
scare
more
him away from
powerful.
being a wolf brother?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just literally like, yeah, don't use your powers that the pattern is giving you to fight the Dark One. Don't use them. They're bad. Trust me.
Okay.
Trust me.
It's reverse. He's doing reverse psychology on them.
Yeah,
Yes.
little.
Reverse psychology. Okay, thank you for clearing that up for me.
Tom, were you just like saying things about Logain that like, oh, maybe, maybe like he has another power that.
Yes, yes.
But you're saying it like so, like, oh, I don't know, like maybe, like but not no like intention that you're actually giving something away.
Well, that's the idea.
Well, just don't say anything then.
No, because he's right in pointing out that what Logain is saying doesn't make any sense. So I'm trying to give him credit for that without telling him that, yeah, he's right. Like Logain is probably Logain can see Tavira like he can in the books, and it's not that he can see male channelers.
But then he should have seen like Matt also.
Well,
But he doesn't see Matt in the book. He only sees Rand.
right, that's true.
We should have seen
But
that
Rand's
early.
so much more powerful at Taviran than everybody else that like it's like the whole Nynaeve sun glow thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. That whole scene is bogus to me anyway. So
Would you think it right for me to say that this was Matt escaping? This was our Matt escaping the White Tower story, and he's not going back there. I don't know.
No.
I'm starting to think that watching this,
No.
like this is
No,
the Dragon Reborn story of Matt escaping the tower, and that's what we're gonna get, and he's not coming back.
I'm starting to
No.
think he is going back.
Yeah, you could yes. I was on that bandwagon for a while, but now I think that he is going to be in the tower in this season
because he's going to be. We're fairly certain he's going to be with the Elaine and Nynaeve, so that makes sense that he would go back to the tower. That's if they go back to the tower, but yeah.
and that Rafe has made reference to the fact that there is going to be some version of the Gawain Galad Matt fight.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like it probably was this season, Tom, that was making everybody think that Matt was not going back, because it did seem like
Yeah.
Why would he ever go back there the way he left? But I mean, Leandrin's probably going to be gone, so
Yeah.
him going back is not going to get him caught again, I don't think.
Brendan thinking everyone is Black Aja was really funny too.
Well, yeah, because most of them were, so.
Because they are.
I know.
Yeah. Literally, he's right, except for Alana. They're all black.
Well, not Leon.
Oh, and Liana. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically so. Spot on, Brendan, but you won't find that out for another couple of seasons, maybe? I don't know. Did you all have anything spoilery that you wanted to talk about?
No.
Not really, no.
Shall we wrap up the show then here?
Yeah, wrap it up.
Okay, I think this is a good place to wrap it up. Great suggestion, Jen. I want to remind everyone to follow us on social media. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Join us over in Discord to continue the conversation there. We also post our episodes on YouTube, so go check out our YouTube page. Like, subscribe, watch us, watch Tom hopping from window to window. Rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts, and check out our merchandise and Patreon pages. You can support us that way. Links to all, there's no links to any aforementioned information. So just go watch the episode again, I guess, if you want. I hope you've been following along with us and rewatching the show. We know our millions of listeners are going to make Amazon wonder why so many people are watching The Wheel of Time. So I was just joking. Any final words, Tom, Jen?
No, on to episode 4.
Nice.
Thanks everyone for listening, and you'll hear us next time.